Yes, guys, are you all there? Very good morning, guys. Okay, I believe my screen is visible to each one of you. Can you please acknowledge that? Yes, great. Okay, let everyone join the session first. We'll be starting within next 5 minutes. Please get ready. We'll start within next 5 minutes, right? Very good morning, guys. All right, guys. So I believe majority has already joined the session. So, okay, good morning, everyone who has joined just now. Very good morning. So my screen is visible. I'm completely audible. So we can start with the session now. So the thing is, we'll be discussing about the very first chapter of this CompTIA Security Plus course. That is all about comparing security roles and security controls. Let's get this into practice. What exactly is security, right? Then only we can implement security in any form, whether it's in physical form or in technical form. So let's have a look at this particular chapter, compare and contrast information security roles. Basically, the thing is, if we talk about security, now security is something which is ongoing process. We cannot say that yes, we have implemented it and now we don't need any updation, or we don't need to do anything else. The thing is, as per the changing requirements, as per the changing technology, security parameters need to be updated as well. So we need to be updated in the same. So this is something which is ongoing process, and there are various things which are included in it. What kind of things I'm saying about? So that is all about assessing the requirements from the organization, some setting up the organizational security systems could be there, hardening them. If we have some security system, how we are able to implement them, monitor them, responding to attacks in progress. If there are any kind of attacks which are happening around in the world, so we need to be prepared for the same so that we can safeguard our organization in a prior manner, right? And being a security professional or a security administrator, so being in this particular field, so it is important that you understand that how security function is implemented as departments or units. Like in the micro level, we can say how this security thing is being implemented, right? How it is being implemented as departments or various units, and different professional roles which are there within different types of organizations, how each and every employee plays huge role in order to follow the security parameters. So you must also be able to explain the whole of the importance of compliance factors, best practice frameworks in driving the selection of security controls. As I told you guys that in order to implement anything like you guys just have cleared, well, it's been an year only that you have cleared your 12th boards. So in whatever the you know the board you have cleared, whether it was CBSE, ICSE, or PSCB, or whatever the board was there, state board, uh, I believe you must have received a blueprint of the paper, like in which manner your paper will be designed, how many questions will be short questions, long questions, and so on. So in a similar manner, we have a security frameworks designed, in which manner we can implement our security functions divided in different units, and that is being provided by some compliant thing, some regulatory thing, right? I hope you are able to relate with this particular fact. Each one of you, can you please acknowledge? Yes, right. Great. So, in this particular lesson, this is chapter one of this CompTIA Security Plus program. I will be sharing the notes with you. The same PDF, the PPT, like PPT in the form of PDF, which is being shared on the screen. I'll be sharing with you in this particular teams which I have created, right? So, particularly this, by covering this particular topic, we'll be able to understand the roles of security professional, right? And what exactly their responsibilities are. We'll be able to compare and contrast various security control and framework types as well, as it is mentioned in the name of the chapter itself. So let's have a look at the information security part. Now, if we divide both the terms, information and security, are you able to understand the meaning of information separately and in meaning of security separately? Please acknowledge. Do you know the meaning of information, and do you know the meaning of security as well? Yes, right? So what is information, guys? What exactly is information? Yes, we can say data. So data, if we use the term data, so data can be any data which is in raw form, but the data which is in processed or the meaningful form can be considered as information. And information can be of many types. That could be personal information, sensitive information, confidential information, various type, public information as well, the information which is available to the public on the websites of the organization. Organized data, we can say the processed data, data in the meaningful form, that is basically uh, you know uh, composed of information. So that is basically what we refer as the term information. Then we have security. What exactly is security? Yes, protection. What else? So security is basically that stage, or that stage where we can say that we are free from danger, we are in a secure form, free from danger, free from any threat, free from any attack or something like that, any malicious thing to happen. Yes, the measures taken to protect the data. So that is all being covered in the security. So if we talk about information security, combining both the terms, it can be abbreviated as infosec as well, as a short form, infosec, taking the initials of information security. So basically, what does that mean? It refers to the protection of data sources. The data resources, there could be various data resources from where data we have the information stored. Like in any organization, there are various departments, various units working all together. So there could be various forms of data stored in those departments, those units, right? There could be various resources. So what exactly we are trying to do in this information security is protecting those different resources of data from any unauthorized access, attack, theft, or damage. And when we talk about unauthorized access, that means the person who is not allowed to access the particular form of data, the particular data should not be allowed to fetch that. Like being students of the university, you're not allowed to look into the confidential data which is available with the teachers or the head of the departments or various levels. At various levels we have different data, right? So in a similar manner, depending upon the roles and responsibilities, we could be the unauthorized person. Like we do not have access to the data which is available with HOD, but HOD may be having access to the data which is available with us. I hope you are able to identify, able to relate to this situation. Yes, right. And if we talk about the protection, not just we are protecting from unauthorized access, but we are also protecting data from any attack, so that no attack should happen on our data, no theft of data should happen, and no damage as well. Our data must not be damaged. So in whatever the manner we have stored the data, that should remain in that particular manner, without any damage, without any theft, without any attack, or without any unauthorized access. Clear? So this is all about information security. If we talk about information security on a whole, now see, data may be vulnerable. There could be chances that data is vulnerable in the sense that it could be attacked, it could be exposed to the outer world because of the way it is stored, the way it is transferred, or the way it is processed. Now we have to, yes, that could be prone to attack. That is a vulnerable state, we can say. And when the data could be vulnerable, now see, data could be in two forms. Whether it can be in the static form, we have stored the data in our systems in the local storage space, or else we have stored in on the cloud, or else data is in the transmission form, in the sense that we are sharing data and it is being transmitted with the help of internet from one system to another, right? So data, when it could be vulnerable, depending upon the ways how it is stored, how it is being transferred, or how it is being processed. So in these ways only, in these forms only, where data actually exists at any place, so that could be the vulnerable stage. And yes, I believe majority has already joined the session. So guys, am I audible? Okay, I'm so sorry, my this Teams got hung up. Now let me share my screen again. Just a second. All right, guys. Yeah. So till when I was audible, because even I had no idea when I got inaudible. So I think we were discussing about the data in which different forms it exists, and how it can be vulnerable in those forms. Now, whatever the forms of data in which it exists, whether we have stored the data, like it is in the processing form, it is in the we have stored the data, or it is being transferred the way it is being transferred. So in order to ensure security of the same of the information, the data which is being used by the organization, so those different the parts of the data, like the systems which are used to store data, the transmit data, process data, that must demonstrate the properties of security. And yes, I was telling you about the organization's data. If it gets leaked out to the outer world, and see, data once leaked is lost forever, right? Like it is now available to the public, and it has breached confidentiality, and this is something which can harm the organization in a manner one cannot, a normal being cannot understand. So the thing is, that is the huge amount of loss any organization could bear, and this is something very in today's world, I believe everyone understand that how much value data carries, है ना? मतलब डेटा इज बीइंग रेफर्ड टू एज अ सिमिलर वैल्यू. जैसे हम गोल्ड या डायमंड की बात करते हैं, तो मतलब सोने के भाव हो गया है डेटा. दिस इज समथिंग व्हिच इज रियलिटी इन टुडेज वर्ल्ड. कंपनी हु इज ओनिंग huge amount of data, they are actually counting themselves as the richest. So it is very much important to take care of data in every aspect. Just hold on a second, guys. Excuse me. Okay. So in the next part, it is given CIA Triad. Now, what exactly is CIA Triad? Has anyone of you have ever heard of this term, CIA? This is quite a common. Like whenever we talk about information security, uh, information security is, the whole of the information security revolves around CIA only. किसी ने सुना है इसका? Do you have any idea, guys? Yes, no, maybe? Chief Intelligence Agency. Now, this thing can be, I knew that, like, हम इसको थोड़ा इससे relate कर जाते हैं, but the thing is, this is something a different triad which we are talking about the secure information, the information which is in the secure form. So this thing, the secure information has three properties, and those are CIA, and these three principles of security controls and management. So this is considered as the security triad. C stands for confidentiality, I for integrity, and A for availability. Yes, Chirayu. Yes, Yuvraj. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now, confidentiality is something, let me be precise, keep it a secret. In the sense that the data which needs to be available with the authorized person only. So that is the confidential data. Person who has the authorized access. So this is the fundamental security goal of keeping the information, communications private and protecting from any unauthorized access. So this is the meaning of confidentiality, right? So information should only be known to certain people, and those certain people are the authorized person only. Is it clear to everyone out there? Confidentiality. So that means a certain information should only be known to certain people. That means, keeping the information, the communication which is happening private and protected from any unauthorized access. No unauthorized user or person should have access to any sort of information like that. Then we have this part, integrity. Now, integrity is something data is stored and transferred as intended, and that any modification is authorized. In the sense that it assures this thing that data, in whatever the form we have sent the data, that is the same form the data is received at the other's end. Like if I'm sending a message, hi, how are you? Then the other person must be receiving the same message at his or her end, and the communication should happen between me and the other person only. So that is the confidentiality, and the data which I am sending is the same data which he or she is receiving. That means in the midway of the communication there was no alteration happened in my data. That means integrity is achieved. So no such modification from any unauthorized person, keeping the organizational information accurate, free from errors, and without any unauthorized modification. If I am sending something else, so that is the modification being done from the authorized person. But if there is any middleman who is doing the modifications, that should not happen in order to achieve the integrity. So that means the data which is free from error, which is in the accurate form, actual form, and no unauthorized modifications has been done. And if there are any modification, that needs to be only done by the authorized sources. Is it clear to everyone out there? So that is the part, integrity, where we say integrity is achieved. Please acknowledge if you're clear with confidentiality and integrity, and then we'll discuss about availability. Yes, right? Now, availability, as the term states, कि available होना, है ना? So it means that information is accessible to those authorized to view or modify it. Like if there is any authorized person who wants to access the data at any point of time, the information must be available to the authorized person. There should not be any such think that the server is down or the information is not available, so that if anything like this happens, that the authorized person is unable to view the information to which he or she is authorized to, that means availability is breached. And when I say breached, that means it is not achieved, and that is something कि वो जो हमारा security control है वो broken हो गया. So that means the computer system operates continuously and the authorized person can access data that they need. Let's take a simple example of Gmail. Now, we all have this Gmail account, है ना? We all have our own identity set over here. हम authorized हैं, हम अपनी authentication से authorization कर लेते हैं by filling the login ID and password. we are able to access the information. Now see, all the mails are available with you to whatever the mails you are authorized to, whatever the mails you have received. So just in case any of the mail gets unavailable, मतलब अभी आपको 2 दिन पहले आई थी लेकिन अब वो अनअवेलेबल है, तो अवेलेबिलिटी ब्रीच होगी ना वहां पे. सो ऑन द क्लाउड एज वेल, अगर आप कुछ अपना डेटा रख रहे हैं, स्टोर कर रहे हैं, इफ यू आर शेयरिंग डेटा विद समवन एल्स, लाइक दीज थिंग्स नीड टू बी परफॉर्म्ड इन सच अ मैनर जो information, because that is the information which we are storing on our Gmail account. We have various mails, we have various sort of information stored over there. We are receiving mails from the authorized persons only, or else it is putting them on spam, and we need to identify whether this is the authorized person or not, and so on. And whatever the messages we are sending is the same messages they are receiving at their end. So mails, जैसे WhatsApp message है, end to end encrypted है. No one else has a right to peek into your messages in the midway. Even WhatsApp claims कि वो भी नहीं देखता है. So this is something I hope you can relate this CIA to any sort of information which we are dealing in our day-to-day life. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Yes, clear? Guys, if you have any doubt in any of uh, this part, then you may ask me. But you need to be clear because these are the basics. And when we talk about security triad, so that is CIA. And when we talk about the 3 principles of security control and management, that is also CIA. And when we talk about what are the goals of security, this information security, क्या अचीव करना चाह रहे हैं, हम यही अचीव करना चाह रहे हैं कि हमारा इंफॉर्मेशन जो है वो कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी, इंटीग्रिटी, अवेलेबिलिटी, ये 3 पैरामीटर्स अचीव कर ले. Which chats get leaked, Gyanish? If there is any leakage of chat happen, that could be from the end user as well, or there could be some uh, distortion in the encryption algorithms which has been applied over the conversation. Then we have this known repudiation. Now, some security models researchers, they identify there are some other properties that secure system should exhibit. Now, most important of these is known repudiation. Now, it is said over here that known repudiation, the subjects cannot deny creating or modifying data. Now, see, there are 2 parties which are communicating with each other. Neither of the party can deny that I have not sent this data, and nor the other party can deny that I have not received this data. This is something known repudiation that कोई भी deny नहीं कर सकता है. This is something, a security goal of ensuring that the party that sent a transmission or created the data remains associated with that data, और वो बिल्कुल नहीं deny कर सकते कि उन्होंने वो send नहीं किया या create नहीं किया है. So there could be various things that can assure this thing. There could be digital signatures attached to it, so that sign कर दें वो कि वो भी कल को डिनाई नहीं कर पाएंगे कि इन्होंने ये डेटा सेंड किया था. Means this is a subject which cannot deny doing something. And when we talk about doing something, that could be creating, modifying, sending a resource, right? So example for this, any legal document, कोई will होती है, किसी कोई जो person will sign करते हैं, must usually be witnessed when it is signed. कोई एक आई विटनेस भी होता है जब साइन हो रही होती है will. If there is any dispute about whether the document was correctly executed, the witness can provide evidence that it was. Is it clear to everyone out there? So this is about information security, CIA Triad. And in CIA Triad, we have confidentiality, integrity, availability, and known reputation is also an important aspect, is also the important part, most important part of this, any security model for this system. I hope everyone is clear with this part so that we can switch to the next slide. Okay, great. Then we have this cyber security framework. Okay, let's have a look at this picture at once. पहले इस picture को आप देख लो जो framework दिया हुआ है. Try to interpret in your mind कि ये क्या मतलब है इसका, क्या दिखा रहे हैं यहाँ पे? There is defense, there are attacks, and there are various parts in the internal threats and external threats. What kind of activities are being performed? What kind of feedback is being provided? Different arrows are there, and the meaning is stated over here at the key box. Now, if we talk about the goal of ensuring information security, there is cyber security, which refers specifically to provisioning, secure processing, hardware, and software. Now, information security, cyber security tasks, they can be classified as these five functions. And the five functions are identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. I hope you are able to identify these five functions on the screen. There are these five functions which are actually being classified on this information security, cyber security task. Now, this is the framework which is developed by NIST, which is National Institute of Standards and Technology. The framework which you guys are able to see on the screen, that is being developed by NIST. ठीक है, तो ये जो पांच functions हैं, these five functions, identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. What does that mean? Now, identify में क्या हो रहा है? What exactly is happening in identify? It will develop security policies and capabilities. It will be able to identification हो रही है, so it will evaluate risk, threat, vulnerabilities, and further recommend some security controls to mitigate them. Is it clear? So, on the basis of the risk which the organization is dealing with, on the basis of the threats which are actually there around, or the vulnerable points in the organization, so various security controls can be suggested, recommended, so that we can mitigate those, we can minimize or cover up those risk, threats, vulnerabilities in the security system. So it is all about developing security policies and capabilities. So identification में सारी evaluation होगी risk की, threat की, vulnerabilities की, and उसके लिए क्या security controls हमने लेने हैं ताकि हम इन सबको खत्म कर सकें. So this basically helps to develop security policies and capabilities, right? Then we have this protect part. Now, protect is something to procure or develop or install and operate something like in the form of IT hardware, software assets with security as an embedded requirement of every stage of this operations lifecycle. How we'll be able to protect the security, the IT hardware and software assets with security? How we'll be developing the softwares or the installing, operating, and using those at every stage of this operations life cycle, whatever the operations are depicted over here. Then we have this detect. Now detect का मतलब I guess सब समझते हैं. तो this is something ongoing. ये चलता रहता है. Detection करने के लिए they have to work continuously and they have to proactive monitor the networks, the systems, so that they can ensure that controls which we have implemented, they are actually effective. They are actually benefiting us and capable of protecting against new types of threat as well. So detection may, it will be proactive monitoring everything and ensuring that whatever the controls we have implemented, they are actually effective and capable of protecting against any new type of threats. Clear? Responding may, how they will identify, analyze, contain, or eradicate the threats to systems and data security. How they will be responding back. So, in responding, they have to identify, they have to analyze, they have to contain, and furthermore, they have to eradicate those threats as well, remove those threats to the system and data security as well. If then we have this recovery stage. In recovery, recover is something in order to implement cybersecurity resilience, just in case something like any attack or threat has affected the system, how the system will be able to restore again, and the data if any other controls are unable to prevent attacks. So if there is recovery तो तभी होगी ना जब कोई attack हो जाएगा, है ना? Recovery का chance कब आता है? If there is something which has happened, if there is any kind of attack or some kind of activity, incident has happened on the data on the system. So it will be implementing cybersecurity resilience. How will be restoring the systems and data if other controls are unable to prevent attacks. अगर बाकी controls नहीं prevent कर पा रहे हैं attack को, तो recovery will be helping to restore the systems So there are many external threats, there are many internal threats. Internal threats is it's quite clear, quite obvious. In any organization, employees are the one who are the internal threats, and I I would say they are the most dangerous threats to the organization because they actually have the thorough knowledge about the security system or the parameters, how it is being implemented in the organization, and so on. What are the weak points if they get the idea about the same, as compared to the external threats. External जो भी person होगा, they would be maybe they would be taking out chance कि वो blindly attack भी कर सकते हैं. There could be pretty good chances of the same, but internal जो system होगा, जो person होगा, जो user होगा, employee होगा, they will be having more knowledge as compared to the external person, right? So these are the different attacks. There could be different attacks that could be happening. If there is any attack which is happening, detect will be able to detect that, and various activities which are designed to it, how it will be dealing with it. That thing can happen. Respond is also dealing with the same. Recover is actually protecting the data, protecting, trying to restore the data and so on. So on the defense side, we have identification, the protection part. Detect and respond is also working on the defense side, but if in just in case it is, if it miss any chance of the case, then this recover thing will gets into the picture. So this is about the NIST framework, the cybersecurity framework which is designed, and you must know the full form of NIST, that is National Institute of Standards and Technology. So these are the core cybersecurity tasks which you are able to see on the screen. So is it clear to each one of you out there? Yes, clear? Okay, great. So moving to the next slide, we have information security competences. Now, what all competences or what it all composes of information security? Talking about IT professionals which are working in a role with security responsibility, uh, like as a security professional who are working in any organization. So they must be competent in a wide range of disciplines. मतलब उनमें क्या क्या जो है खूबियाँ होनी चाहिए, क्या क्या competencies होनी चाहिए, किस किस चीज में. There could be wide range of disciplines, from network and application design to procurement and HR as well. So there are various activities. There are various activities that might be typical of such a role. If we talk about any security professional, okay. So participating risk assessment and testing of security system and make some recommendations. Now, risk assessment and testing is something where the security professional is able to परफॉर्म द रिस्क असेसमेंट. असेसमेंट क्या होती है? आपकी असेसमेंट होती है, वी टेक योर असेसमेंट टेस्ट. उसमें क्लासिफिकेशन हो जाती है, हु इज डूइंग गुड, हु इज डूइंग एवरेज, हु इज डूइंग बैड, हु नीड्स मोर टाइम to focus on this particular topic and so on. So basic assessment से we are able to identify कि कौन सा स्टूडेंट को कौन सा टॉपिक वीक है या किसका कौन सा टॉपिक स्ट्रॉन्ग है एंड सो ऑन, है ना. तो रिस्क असेसमेंट में क्या होता है, दे आर एबल टू मतलब परफॉर्म असेसमेंट ऑन द रिस्क कि कौन सा नॉन नॉन रिस्क है, कौन सा अननोन रिस्क है, किस रिस्क की कितनी जो है इंटेंसिटी है, कितना वो डैमेज कर सकता है, क्या ये सब मतलब जो भी रिस्क के रिलेटेड प्रॉपर्टीज रहती हैं, एंड वेरियस टेस्टिंग मस्ट बी परफॉर्म्ड ऑन द सेम. So this is something which is being performed by the security professional. They should participate in risk assessment and testing of what? Of security systems, and make recommendation on the basis of the assessment and testing which is conducted on the risk. What kind of recommendations are coming up from the security professional? What could be done? हम इसको कैसे tackle कर सकते हैं and so on. Clear? Then we have specifying, sourcing, installing, and configuring secure devices and software. Now, how we can actually configure, install, source, or specify the different secure devices and software in the organizations. This is a part of this security professional only. Access control and user privileges. Okay, so this is something which they have to set up and maintain a document regarding the same. How different accesses are divided into different roles or the positions in the organization, and what kind of user privileges are provided. So there should be different profiles for the same. Now एक्सेस कंट्रोल में क्या होता है, देयर इज हम CUM में से हमारे पास एक पोर्टल है ना, CU का जो मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम का पोर्टल है पूरा. We are able to information management system, है ना, CU information management system. So there are various options available on the same. Whether you are a student, whether you are a teacher, how would you like to log in on the portal, है ना? तो if you are a student and अगर आप ऐसे एंटर कर देते हो अपना ई कोड या UID, then the portal itself is able to identify whether you are a student or a teacher from your the ID which you are entering, है ना? Then on the similar basis आपका वही जो एक्सेस आपको मिला हुआ है आपके अकाउंट पे वो ओपन अप हो जाता है. You are not able to peek into any teacher's ID or the tabs, the dashboard which is available with the teacher. And being a teacher, we are not able to check your portal. हमें नहीं पता आपके पोर्टल में कैसा डैशबोर्ड आता है, कैसे different tabs हैं, what all rights do you have, what all you can do on your CMS portal. So how these accesses are being identified? Through the user ID only. So there is access control list, which is mapped with the COMS portal. From the access control list, whenever we'll be entering the ID, it will be able to identify कि इस user का कितना का access है, मतलब कितना access इसको provide करना है. What kind of access is granted to this particular user. So on the basis of that only, different users' accesses are being controlled by the portal itself. Are you able to understand this thing? So in a similar manner, in any organization, the security professional, they need to implement this access control and user privileges as well. They have to set up, maintain some document of access control, user privileges profile. क्योंकि अगर आपको आपके privilege से ज़्यादा access मिल जाएगा तो obviously उसका misuse हो जाएगा. This is something obvious. आप चाहे कितने भी सच्चे हैं, अच्छे बच्चे हैं, but somewhere somehow security is breached, है ना? So this should not happen in any of the case. So this is about access control and how accesses are controlled with the help of ACL, access control list. Then we have auditing logs and events. Now logs का मतलब समझते हैं आप? Are you able to, मतलब अब आप कहोगे कि कैसा? What are exactly logs when we are talking about system security and so on? Any idea, guys? No? Okay. So auditing logs and events in the sense that in any on any website, what kind of blogs and blogs नहीं. Okay. आज के बच्चे blogs और vlogs का मतलब समझते हैं. Let's talk about logs. B और V काट दें अगर हम. So the thing is, on any website, whatever the activities are happening, so these are being logged. Logged in the sense with the timestamp, the activity, everything is being noted down. है ना? So everything is being stored at the back end, like at this particular moment, at this particular time, what kind of activity has happened. Activity in the sense, what kind of request was sent, what kind of response was received, and everything related to that. So वो logs count होते हैं कि हर एक चीज की एक entry डलती रहती है ना? Hostel में क्या होता है? You take out permission from warden, step out of the hostel, go for outing, come back. तो मतलब आप अपनी एंट्री डाल के जाते हो ना, मैं किस टाइम गई थी, किस टाइम आई थी, वो भी लॉग्स है कि आप अपनी एंट्री जो उस रजिस्टर में एंटर कर रहे हो, है ना? सो इन द सिमिलर मैनर वेबसाइट पे कब क्या हो रहा है, सो दिस इज द रिकॉर्ड, यस, ऑफ सेट ऑफ द एक्टिविटीज दैट हैपेंड एट व्हाट टाइम. सो एवरीथिंग इज बीइंग captured. So what this security professionals or the IT professional working in this particular security roles are supposed to do, They have to monitor the audit logs, auditing of the logs in the sense that they have to check out the logs of any website or the thing which they are looking after. So that auditing क्या होती है? Inspection करना, ठीक है? Auditing is something when we are inspecting something, uh, inspecting on something, examination of something. जैसे डिपार्टमेंट में ऑडिट होता है, रिगार्डिंग क्लास कंडक्ट का ऑडिट होता है, ठीक है, आपके मटेरियल का ऑडिट होता है, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ मटेरियल यू आर टीचिंग इन द क्लासेस. सो इन सिमिलर मैनर ऑडिट होता है, स्टूडेंट्स का भी चेक होता है कि आईडी कार्ड वियर किया नहीं किया, मतलब एवरीथिंग इज बीइंग checked, and on the basis of that, some suggestions are being given to the department and so on. So they had to monitor some the audit logs, the activities, and some review some user privileges and document the access controls and so on. So this is the part of this particular thing. Logs and events could be any kind of activity which is happening online. Incident reporting and response. Now incident could be any event, any incident. जैसे उसे हम security incident भी कह देंगे कि अगर कुछ incident हुआ है, like if you talk about as a physical, in a physical manner, एक्सीडेंट होता है ना, अगर कुछ जिसमें डैमेज हो जाता है किसी किसी भी ह्यूमन बीइंग का. सो इन अ सिमिलर मैनर ऑनलाइन क्या होते हैं? इंसिडेंट्स होते हैं जिसमें कुछ ना कुछ डैमेज हो ही जाता है, चाह के ना चाह के भी. सो दे हैव टू मैनेज सिक्योरिटी रिलेटेड इंसिडेंट रिस्पॉन्स एंड रिपोर्टिंग. कैसे कोई इंसिडेंट अगर कुछ होता है तो उसका रिस्पॉन्स कैसे सेट करना है और कैसे वो रिपोर्ट होगा, everything that can be captured. So incident response and reporting is something which needs to be managed by the security professional. So these are the competencies in the sense how, what kind of qualities they should have in order to work in this particular field. Then business continuity and disaster recovery. अगर कोई incident हुआ, just in case it has happened, then they had to create and test some business continuity after the particular incident which has happened, how we have recovered from that incident, how we'll be able to continue the business in a in a smooth manner जैसे पहले चल रहा था, without any break, without any halt. And the disaster recovery plans and procedures must be defined. Regarding अगर कुछ, there could be incident में कोई भी natural calamities भी हो सकती हैं, there could be disaster. So how we'll be able to cope up with such kind of loss, and how we'll be able to continue the business from the point where we have left, and that too in a smooth manner. Security training and education programs. Now see, this is something very important. They have to participate in security training and education programs. Why it is required? Because with the changing needs of the environment, changing needs of the technology, there could be various new things that could be introduced in the industry. So they need to be trained, they need to be aware about the latest trends and technologies and various education programs, because security professionals will be further providing education to the employees who are part of the organization. In security thing, sorry, we can not only rely on the security professional, but every employee who is dealing with the organization's data or working on the organization system, they have equal responsibility to ensure the security, है ना. उनके एंड से, एम्प्लॉय के एंड से कोई ऐसी मिस हैपनिंग नहीं होनी चाहिए कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को सफर करना पड़े. So the training programs, education programs need to be conducted, and everyone in the organization need to be educated on the same. Is it clear to everyone out there? Please have a look at the different competencies which are listed over here. And if you have any doubt in any of these 7 steps, then you can ask me. All right. Thank you, Aryan. Is it clear to just Aryan and Devesh? What about others? Guys, it would be great if you can acknowledge so that I get the surety कि आप सुन रहे हो और समझ रहे हो. Okay, great. So, before going with these information security roles and responsibilities, I would like to tell you about authentication and authorization because these two terms uh, are the ones which are being used in this information security part a lot. Authentication क्या होता है, authorization क्या होता है? Do you have any idea about these two terms before jumping into these? Accessibility. Now, authentication, talking about authentication and authorization. Authentication defines who are you. Your with the help of your login credentials, your biometrics, you will be able to prove that who are you. You will be able to prove your identity to the system, right? So that is verifying information is authentication. It's all authentication किसका होता है? Authentication users का होता है. Who are you? आप authenticated उसमें ना जाओ कि कितनी real information authenticated and so on. So that हम इसमें confidentiality, integrity, availability ऐसी terms use करते हैं कि information का accurate है, error free है, that means integrity achieved है. Authentication defines who are you, and authorization define what permissions do you have. Now, see, uh, by entering your login ID and password, you are able to identify, authenticate yourself on any portal wherever you have any account. है ना? So the system will be able to identify that who are you, and you will be authenticated successfully, and you will be, getting access to your portal, to your account, and what permissions do you have. Like I took the example of COIMS, this University Information Management System portal. So, with the help of authentication only, how you are being authenticated on the university's portal, authorization is defined. What kind of permissions do you have? So this thing is being clearly defined, right? So, depending upon what kind of the permissions do you have. So in a similar manner, you will be getting the accesses on your portal. I hope you all are getting idea of authentication and authorization. Now, this is something which we are clear of, but we can say that हमें terms नहीं पता थी, है ना? आपको पता है कि आपके login ID password से आप अपना account open कर लेते हो. You get access to your account. You have those privileges, the dashboard which you guys are getting, those different buttons which you are getting, है ना? So how you are getting this? What exactly is being performed on the same at the back end? So that is authentication and authorization. Now tell me one thing. Do we perform authentication before authorization or authorization before authentication? What exactly is being performed at the first step? Is it authentication which is being performed at the first step or authorization being performed at the first step? Give me your views on the same. Everyone out there, I believe you all are attentive in the class. Yes, right? Authentication needs to be performed before authorization. Authentication comes before authorization, and that's obvious. If you are able to understand the meaning of these terms, that's obvious. Once you have to identify like yourself to the system need to identify who are you. Then only the system will be able to identify what permissions do you have. पहले आपकी जान पहचान होगी, आपका पता चलेगा who are you, then only system will be able to check कि अच्छा इस यूजर के पास कौन सी permissions हैं, then authorization is granted. Yes, right. Okay. So from the responses itself, I can sense that it's clear to each one of you. Okay, great. So coming to the part of this information security roles and responsibilities. Now see, if we talk about security policy, every organization has a security policy defined in their system. क्या पॉलिसी रहेगी, किस पॉलिसी पे अपने मतलब हमारे सिक्योरिटी पैरामीटर्स डिजाइन होंगे एंड एवरीथिंग लाइक दैट. सो दैट इज बेसिकली अ फॉर्मुलाइज स्टेटमेंट, statement of what which will be defining how security will be implemented within an organization. पॉलिसीज का यही मतलब होता है, पॉलिसीज एंड प्रोसीजर्स. हम सिक्योरिटी, अगर हम सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी की बात कर रहे हैं तो ये पर्टिकुलरली सिक्योरिटी के बारे में है कि सिक्योरिटी कैसे इंप्लीमेंट करेंगे विद इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड सो ऑन. सो एज वी डिस्कस्ड अर्लियर कि सिक्योरिटी जो द सिक्योरिटी थिंग बेसिकली रिवॉल्व्स अराउंड सिक्योरिटी ट्रायड. एंड सिक्योरिटी ट्रायड इज, क्या होता है सिक्योरिटी ट्रायड? इट इज CIA. और इसको हम रिवर्स ऑर्डर में भी इसका रेफरेंस अगर दें तो वो भी करेक्ट होता है, AIC. और कोई इसकी फॉर्म नहीं है, CIA एंड AIC. आप बाकी शफल नहीं कर सकते वर्ड्स, ठीक है? बाकी अल्फाबेट्स एज इट इज रहेंगे, या तो आप CIA या फिर इसका रिवर्स ऐसे IAC या कुछ ऐसा वैसा नहीं बना सकते. सो दिस इज समथिंग विच इज नॉट देयर. सो सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी भी एक फॉर्मुलाइज डॉक्यूमेंट होगा, एक स्टेटमेंट होगी कि किस चीज की, जो डिफाइन करेगी हाउ सिक्योरिटी इज इम्प्लीमेंटेड विद इन द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. सो इट डिस्क्राइब्स द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन विल टेक टू protect the confidentiality, availability, integrity of sensitive data and resources. What kind of steps need to be taken so that we can achieve confidentiality, integrity, and availability of what? Of data, sensitive data, and resources as well. Now, resources are those from where data is actually being extracted. There could be various different resources of the data. That could be the cloud storage, that could be any database, that could be any local storage, on when the data is being transmitted, when the data is being processed. As I told you earlier, कि data जिस फॉर्म में होगा, हमने हर फॉर्म में डेटा को सिक्योर करके चलना है ना? So this is something as a part of process of adopting some kind of organizational security posture. Employees must be aware of their responsibilities. Employees are the one that can act as the insider threats as well, but we cannot deny that. मतलब मेजोरिटी तो लॉयल ही होंगे, है ना? कोई एक आधा निकल जाए तो बात अलग है, बट द थिंग इज दे नीड टू बी रिस्पॉन्सिबल इन एवरी एस्पेक्ट. जो भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का सिक्योरिटी पोस्चर है, जो भी सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी है, एम्प्लॉय ने उस सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी के बाहर कोई काम नहीं करना. Right? If I'm not allowed to share, obviously, this is obvious. I'm not allowed to share the sensitive mails of my organization with anyone who is not part of the organization. So I should not do this. So everyone must be aware enough what kind of organization security posture is implemented, and employees must be aware of their responsibilities. The structure of security responsibilities that depend upon the size, hierarchy of the organization, but these roles are typical. ऑब्वियसली सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी का स्ट्रक्चर सारा साइज पे, उसके जो है हिरार्की पे डिपेंड कर सकता है कि कितने, how much big the organization is, what kind of hierarchy in an organization actually lies. So there could be different things. Now see, now these are the roles which are typical, which are listed on the screen. One is the overall responsibility. Coming into the overall responsibility, we have two parts. One is Chief Security Officer, which is CSO. Then we have Chief Information Security Officer, which is CISO. Then we have the next role, managerial role, management. Then we have technical. In technical, we have Information System Security Officer, ISSO. Then non-technical, then due care and liability. Talking about overall responsibility. Now, overall internal responsibility for security must be allocated to dedicated department, which is being run by director of security, or we can say that is the chief security officer. And then we have chief information security officer. Now, typically, what is happening? The job title of the person with overall responsibility for information and assurance. This is something, and the security system as well. So this is something which can be referred as CIO as well. मतलब हम इसको sometimes we can refer it as Chief Information Officer as a shortened form, we can say. So historically, what was happening? The Chief Security Officer is the one who is taking care of whole of the security thing. But with this Chief Information Security Officer is the one दैट इज मतलब इंफॉर्मेशन सिक्योरिटी पे भी उसने फोकस करना है. सिक्योरिटी में डेटा सिक्योरिटी, फिजिकल सिक्योरिटी, टेक्निकल सिक्योरिटी, नेटवर्क सिक्योरिटी, एप्लीकेशन सिक्योरिटी, वेरियस फॉर्म्स ऑफ सिक्योरिटी आर देयर एक्चुअली. इफ चीफ सिक्योरिटी ऑफिसर इज द वन जो एक होता है ना सुपर सेट, एक होता है सबसेट. सो CSO can be considered as superset and CIS is the subset of this. So this is basically working on the information security thing only. Is it clear? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, great. So, however, there could be the goals of the network manager are not always well aligned with the goals of security. There could be network management focuses on the availability over confidentiality. There could be various things. So, consequently, what is happening? Security is increasingly thought of as a dedicated function or business unit with its own management structure. Now, managers talking to the like coming to the part where it is managerial. Now, managers are they have the responsibility for a domain. That could be the building control, that could be accounting, that could be ICT. There could be various managers of various departments, you know. So they have to take care of their department security. They have to educate their employees in the same, and they have the responsibility of a domain only कि किस डिपार्टमेंट किस डोमेन की बात कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. Then the next part we have technical, जिसमें information system security officer ISSO का part आ गया. Now technical या फिर specialized हम बात करें specialist staff, वो किसके लिए responsible है? Now the technical and the specialist staff they have responsibility of implementing, maintaining and monitoring the policy. How they are implementing it. अब टेक्निकल स्टाफ की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होती है कुछ भी नया इम्प्लीमेंट करवाना है, कुछ मेंटेन करना है या फिर कुछ मॉनिटर करना है. सो द पॉलिसी everything which is being implemented, maintained and monitored, that is the responsibility of technical and specialist staff only. The security might be made a core competency of system network administrator, or there may be some dedicated security administrator as well. So this is one of the job title which is referred over here under the technical department, that is information system security officer, ISSO. Now the organizational role with technical responsibility for implementing of security policies, frameworks and controls. So this is the organizational role of ISSO, how the security policies, frameworks and controls will be implemented. Then we have non technical staff. हर एक तरह का स्टाफ होता है हर डिपार्टमेंट में, है ना. सो वी हैव दिस ओवरऑल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होती है, मैनेजमेंट होता है, टेक्निकल होता है, नॉन टेक्निकल होता है, एंड देन वी हैव ड्यू केयर एंड टीचर्स. नाउ नॉन टेक्निकल क्या होता है? दे हैव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ कंप्लाइंग विद द पॉलिसी एंड विद एनी रेलेवेंट लेजिस्लेशन. जो भी पॉलिसीज हैं उनके साथ उनको कंप्लाई करके चलना है, उससे बाहर काम नहीं करना, सिर्फ उनके साथ मतलब दे हैव टू कंप्लाई विद दोज पॉलिसीज, दे हैव टू वर्क अंडर दोज पॉलिसीज, है ना. इम्प्लीमेंट करना, मेंटेन करना, मॉनिटर करना, ये टेक्निकल का काम है. नॉन टेक्निकल ने बस उनको कंप्लाई करना है एंड सम जो भी रेलेवेंट लेजिस्लेशन रहती है उनके अकॉर्डिंग ही अपना काम करना है. देन एक्सटर्नल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर सिक्योरिटी. एक्सटर्नल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी में ड्यू केयर लाइबिलिटी आ जाती है. नाउ दिस लाइज मेनली विद द डायरेक्टर्स और द ऑनर्स. जो डायरेक्टर्स हैं, जो ऑनर्स हैं, उनके साथ ही एक्सटर्नल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी अटैच है. Though again, it is important to note that all the employees share some measures of responsibility. As I'm telling this again and again, those who are part of the organization, whether that's an employee, technical staff, non-technical staff, at whatever the stage the person is, they have equal responsibility in order to contribute in this security thing. Okay? So this is all about now these categorization, the job tasks, job roles within the cybersecurity industry is being provided by National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education of NIST only. Is it clear to everyone out there? I don't understand why people are joining so late. Like I'm receiving requests till now. पढ़ाते पढ़ाते बीच में request आ रही है and students are joining. Those who are joining so late, You will not be marked present. You have to join on time within 10 minutes only. By 10:10, I will accept the entries, or else I will not accept your entry. Okay, then we have information security business units. Now, these are the units which are often used to represent the security function within the organization hierarchy. Like what different information security business units are, how the hierarchy is being defined. We have Security Operations Center (SOC), then we have Devsecops, Development Security Operations. ठीक है. Then we have Incident Response. अब Incident Response में क्या होता है? कोई भी incident का जो response action plan बनता है. So there is a defined cyber incident response team which is working on it. Then we have computer security incident response team, then computer emergency response team. From the terms itself, the name, I hope you are able to differentiate between the term cyber and computer. Yes, guys. Cyber और computer में फर्क होता है. The term cyber and computer, do they have different meaning or they have a same meaning, guys? There's a difference. Computer is something which is we can refer as a hardware device, and cyber is something, cyberspace जो भी हम internet or which is available on the internet, हम online जिस space में deal करते हैं. We are dealing in the cyberspace. You guys are sitting on your system, I'm sitting on my system, and we are connecting online. So how we are connecting online? In the cyberspace only, with the help of internet, right? And there are various platforms available through which different people can connect. So we are connecting at Teams, you know. So let's understand this. The very first unit, जो पहला unit दिया है इन्होंने, Security Operations Center. Now, Security Operations Center, I hope you are able to see the picture which is given at the side, you know. So this is something ये IBM सिक्योरिटी सेंटर की पिक्चर है जो कि उन्होंने मतलब कॉम्शिया वालों को अलाउ की थी अपलोड करने के लिए. These are the notes which we are being provided by CompTIA only. So Security Operations Center क्या होता है? SOC, the location where security professionals monitor and protect the critical information assets in the organization. Okay, I think I've used a jargon, asset. आप asset समझते हो? What exactly is asset? Assets. Let me write here. Do you understand assets? Okay. How many of you understand the term assets? Asset and liability. Something which has some value to us, to a person, which is useful, which has some value, which is useful to a person, and so on. And there could be physical assets, something valuable, yes, right? There could be physical assets, there could be digital assets as well. And when we talk about digital assets, bache, digital assets are something which are available digitally, which a company owns. And when we talk about digitally available, that could be the company's website, company's logo, company's the data which is available, even the company's logo, the like crypto. So in digital assets, we can go with the website, logo, the policies, procedures which are designed in the company. So those are the digital assets which are available there in the digital form. है ना. फिजिकल एसेट में आपकी बिल्डिंग भी आ जाएगी, आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की बिल्डिंग आ जाएगी, एंड सो ऑन. So talking about this security operation center, SOC. अब ये SOC होता क्या है? The location where security professional they monitor and protect the critical information assets in an organization. They are actually continuously monitoring, protecting, any critical information asset in the organization. So be information asset, the set which is providing some information about the organization, that could be PDF, that could be PPT, any such information data we can say. So at this particular location, they are, the security professional, they are monitoring, protecting critical information set across other business function. उनके बहुत से business function होंगे, finance department होगा, operations होगा, sales marketing होगा, बहुत से departments होंगे depending upon the organization. So how the information assets are being protected? So this thing is being continuously monitored by the security professional at this particular center, security operation center, है ना? Because there is a point that SOC, the security operation center, can be difficult to establish, maintain and finance. मतलब इसके लिए इतना finance लगता है, इसको maintain करना, establish करना थोड़ा मुश्किल रहता है. So they are usually employed by larger companies like we can say कि गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी इनको एम्प्लॉय करती है, हेल्थ केयर कंपनी इनको एम्प्लॉय करती है. So these are being employed by some MNCs or the larger companies only. ठीक है? I hope you have got the idea of SOC, Security Operations Center, and that's clear from the picture itself. They are actually monitoring and continuously accessing their information assets and protecting them as well in any organization. Yes, no, maybe. Then we have DevSecOps. So network operations and the use of cloud computing make ever increasing use of automation through software code. So traditionally, the software code would be responsibility of a programming development team. But now that we have separate development operations department or teams, that can lead to the silos where each team does not work effectively with the other. Now, this is all about development, operation, security, and operations, as these are the initials of these three terms only, which has been picked up in the name DevSecOps, right? So this is something which is a combination of software development, system operations, and refer to the practice of integrating one discipline with the other. How we are integrating the software development and the system operations all together, development and operations. So DevOps is something which is a combination of software development and system operations, and how this practice is being integrated as one discipline into the another. So this is the cultural shift within the organization, which is actually encouraging much more collaboration between developers and system administrator, because in DevOps we have software developers, system operations. So it is actually providing collaboration between developers and system administration to work all together, right? So this is something, some many of the organization, many consider DevOps approach to administration as the only way organization can take full advantage of the potential benefit offered by cloud service providers. So this DevSecOps, when we talk about, पहले तो DevOps की बात की है. Now that we are incorporating security to the DevOps as well. So DevSecOps, this extends the boundary to security specialists as well. Sorry, to security specialists and personnel, those who are working in this particular field, reflecting the principle that security is a primary consideration at every stage of software development and deployment. If we take care of security while developing the software, there are different stages how the software is being developed. There is a complete life cycle for the same. If we look after the security thing at every particular stage of software development and the deployment, when we are actually deploying the software, making use of it, if we are considering security, so this is the primary consideration at every stage. Okay, so the principle of DevSecOps, if we talk about it, it recognizes this and shows that the security expertise must be embedded into the development project as well. इन सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट और सिस्टम ऑपरेशंस की तो इन्होंने पहले कोलैबोरेशन कर दी डेवऑप्स में. अब डेवसेकऑप्स में हमने सिक्योरिटी एक्सपर्ट्स को भी इसी में एम्बेड कर दिया डेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट में. How they will be working all together. So the security operations need to take on developer expertise to improve any such further detection and monitoring. How the security incidents can be detected and monitored further in any software or the system. Is it clear to everyone out there? Then we have this last part of business unit, which is incident response. Now, incident response is something, there is a dedicated cyber incident response team, as it is stated over here, which is CIRT, Cyber Incident Response Team. Now, with which responsibility it comes up? It it has the responsibility for incident response, as the name suggests. Incident response की इनको इस team ने properly incident response पे काम करना है. Then again we have Computer Security Incident Response Team, which is CSIRT, which is, we can say, which is similar to CIRT, but also it must have expertise across a number of business domains. If we're talking about the computer security thing, so it must have expertise in number of business domains, and those business domains, the business domains में इनका IT department भी हो सकता है, HR भी हो सकता है, legal भी हो सकता है, marketing. So they should have expertise in those. Then we have Computer Emergency Response Team, which is CERT, which is trademark term typically reserved for the predominant computer security organization, is a single point of contact for the notification of security incident. To whom we need to contact, so that would be CERT. Emergency में एक single point of contact होता है ना? तो इसको इस चीज के लिए जरा रिजर्व करके रखते हैं कि emergency में काम आएगी ये टीम. This function might be handled by the SOC, the Security Operations Center, or it might be established as an independent business unit. So is it clear to everyone out there? I believe now that you guys are getting the idea about the the security part, the various roles and responsibilities are there, which are there. Like while starting the chapter itself, lesson itself, this is the first lesson, comparing security roles and security controls. I told you we'll be discussing about the the different security roles. We'll be comparing, contrasting the different security roles, and so far now we have done that. Now that we are quite familiar with the security roles, we can move to the next part, which is topic 1B, compare and contrast security control and framework types. Now that we are clear with the security roles, now there could be various security controls, various framework types. See, information security and cyber security assurance, that is met how? अगर हमने कुछ security controls implement किए हैं, how we can ensure the security? Roles तो हमने define कर दिए, किसने क्या करना है, कैसे करना है. How we can ensure that the security is being followed, or the cyber security assurance is there. So this thing can be met by implementing some security controls on the same, है ना? So as an information security professional, you should be able to compare the types of the security controls. कौन से different types and security controls के जिनको हमने implement करना है. You should also be able to describe कैसे जो हमने framework choose किया है, how it is influenced the selection, configuration of controls. Now by identifying the basic security types, how this framework legislation drive compliance, so you'll be better prepared to select and implement the most appropriate controls for given scenario. जब भी कोई scenario दिया जाएगा, if you are able to understand the controls, if you are able to understand type of framework which needs to be implemented, then you will be able to choose the one. So we'll be comparing and contrasting various types of controls and the importance of applicable regulations, standards, frameworks, which will further impact the organizational security posture. Okay. So before moving to this particular slide of security control categories, the different categories that we have, what's the time? Let's have like 5 to 7 minutes of breather, guys. We'll connect back around 11:25 or 27. What say? I want to have some water, and yeah, है ना? Let's have a breather. मतलब अभी हमने 1A cover कर लिया. I hope everyone is clear with that. So in order to gain fresh knowledge, let's have 5 to 7 minutes of break. Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. But make sure you be back within the next 7 minutes. Okay? We'll be starting with this topic. Okay. Have your breather, please. Yes, guys, I believe you all are back. Please acknowledge. I hope you have had your breather of good enough 9 minutes. Yes, great. Okay, guys. So let's continue with this part where we have left. Just a second. Okay. So now that we are discussing about security control categories, there are various categories where security needs to be controlled, right? So this is something, if we talk about security control, so that could be any technology or procedure which is put in place, how we can mitigate the vulnerabilities. That means to remove the weaknesses in the system and the risk, and as well as we can ensure CIA of information. CIA in the sense confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So this is something which we are ensuring when we are talking about security. So this is something which is designed to give a system or the data set with the properties of CIA as well as known repudiation. The four terms which we have learned at the very first slide of this particular PPT. And yes, one more thing. I will be sharing the notes. I hope you are able to see. Just a second. I hope you are able to see that the notes in the file section. I will be uploading it over here. In the class material, I will upload a folder of this security study notes. I put this thing on upload and it will may require few seconds more in order to get the upload complete. So you will be able to get the same the document which you are able to see on the screen, right? And there is one security plus book as well which I have with me. I'll be sharing that after this particular session. Okay, after 12 p.m. I'll be uploading that as well, so that you can get the content, so that you can study at your place. It will help you in self study. So there are these three broad categories which you can see on the screen. How so these are being represented, the way the control is implemented, how control is being implemented. From the picture itself, we can you know uh, state कि managerial is on the above. मैनेजरियल के नीचे आता है ऑपरेशनल, और ऑपरेशनल के नीचे आता है टेक्निकल, फ्रॉम द ट्रायंगल विच इज मेड असाइड. तो मैनेजमेंट सबसे ऊपर होगा, बिकॉज दैट विल बी कंट्रोलिंग द दैट गिव्स द ओवरसाइट ऑफ द सिस्टम. ऑपरेशनल जो कि कंट्रोल दैट डिपेंड ऑन अ पर्सन फॉर द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन. देन टेक्निकल जो बिल्कुल ही जो किस तरह का कंट्रोल है विच इज इम्प्लीमेंटेड इन ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम, सॉफ्टवेयर, सिक्योरिटी अप्लायंसेस. Okay, Dikshit. Do one thing. When you open up the Teams, I hope you are able to go to the file section. Files में there is class materials. एक बार check करो. In file section there is class material, and in class material there will be security notes. एक अलग से folder होगा security notes को, उसमें ये सारे security के notes होंगे. और मैंने इससे पहले एक PDF भी इसमें upload किया हुआ है regarding how to add Kali Linux as virtual machine in VMware. Got it? Okay, cool. I hope everyone has received it. बच्चे एक बार please check कर लो, so that in future you face no such issue. Yes, Vivek, for the lab thing we have to do it. And yesterday, I was not feeling well in the morning. There was some morning sickness due to my stage. So we will be having a session, a compensatory session for yesterday, tomorrow. है ना? कल का session जो कल होगा Saturday, I'll be scheduling a class at the same time from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. I hope it's okay with everyone out there. Yes, I believe majority already knows, but then also like today itself in the morning when I logged into the Teams, मतलब बच्चों के फिर भी मैसेज थे, प्लीज मैम प्लीज लेट मी इन द क्लास वाज नॉट स्टार्टेड yesterday बच्चे. Yes, from 10 to 12. So then the same time. Will not be making amendments in the time. It's the same time. ठीक है, ग्रेट. सो टेक्निकल की अगर हम बात करें, जो टेक्निकल कैटेगरी यहाँ पे डिफाइन की हुई है, जो कंट्रोल जैसे डिवाइड किया है, तो टेक्निकल कंट्रोल में क्या होगा, दिस पर्टिकुलर कैटेगरी ऑफ सिक्योरिटी कंट्रोल, how it is being implemented, that is implemented as a system. Someone please explain, Abbas, regarding the same. So in technical, what is happening, the control which is implemented as a system, and when we talk about as a system, that could be hardware, software, or firmware, mixture of both, है ना? So technical controls may be described as some logical control, the control which is implemented as system on hardware, software. So there could be firewalls, there could be antivirus software, there could be OS access control models. So that could be the technical controls which can be implemented. So we can describe the technical controls as the logical controls. Okay? Then we have operational. So this is the category of security control which is implemented by people. The control which is implemented primarily by people rather than system. जो टेक्निकल है वो टेक्निकली हम सिस्टम्स पे अप्लाई कर रहे हैं, हार्डवेयर, सॉफ्टवेयर, फर्मवेयर, जिसमें एंटीवायरस, फायरवॉल्स, ओएस एक्सेस कंट्रोल मॉडल, ये सारे कंट्रोल्स आ रहे हैं. देन व्हेन वी कम टू द ऑपरेशनल, ऑपरेशंस किसने परफॉर्म करने हैं, employees ne karne hai, so which is being implemented by people rather than the system. There could be security guards, there could be training programs, which are operational controls rather than technical controls. How will be operating with those technical controls which we have implemented? So this thing can be defined in the operational category. Then managerial category. So this particular control that gives the oversight of the information system. So this particular control gives the oversight of the information system. That could be some risk identification oversight दे देंगे ये, मतलब अपना थोड़ा सा लुक दे देंगे कि इसमें क्या हो सकता है. There would be risk identification or tool which is allowing to evaluate for the evaluation purpose, selection of other security controls as well. So management will be providing their viewpoints on the same. Okay. So this is all about the security control categories, how the security controls are divided into different categories. We have managerial, we have operational and technical. Then we have security control functional types. Now coming to the functional types in a manner. So I hope you are clear with the last slide, managerial, operational, technical. क्या क्या रहता है इनमें? Yes, right? Okay. Then we have functional types. Now, this functional types which are classified over here. So this is the first classification which is being done. Now, security controls can be classified into types of the to the goal or the function they perform. किस तरह का function they perform कर रहे हैं? That could be preventive, that could be detective, that could be corrective. है ना? From the name itself, I hope you are able to, get some idea. Preventive में क्या होता है? Prevent करना, detective में detect करना, corrective में इसको correct करना जो हो गया एक बार, है ना? So this is something which is defined over here as well, and there are other functional types as well which will be studying in the next slide, जो कि यहाँ mention किया है, physical, compensating and deterrent. Now see, preventive is something. So preventive is something that's a type of security control that physically or logically restrict any unauthorized access. If there is any unauthorized access, that will be preventing. So it precedes an event and attempts to block it as it is the very first step. Preventive में आप देख पा रहे हो कि lock बना हुआ है. That means it is physically or logically restricting any unauthorized access. So here it's a time for inclusion attempt. Inclusion in the sense which is not authorized, वो attempt करने की कोशिश यहीं पे करेगा. ठीक है? So this is something which is operates before an attack. वो attack होने से पहले उसको prevent करने की कोशिश करेगा. The control which acts to eliminate. Now this particular control is acting in a such a manner कि उसको वो eliminate कर सके, reduce कर सके, so that attack succeed ना हो पाए. वो अपनी तरफ से प्रिवेंट करने का इसका फंक्शन रहेगा. Is it clear? So this is something an event. So precedes an event and attempts to block it. So there is an intrusion attempt. वो bug आप देख पा रहे हैं रेड कलर का यहाँ bug बना हुआ है. So यहाँ पे intrusion attempt हो रहा है लेकिन it is trying to eliminate it, reduce it so that attack further ना हो पाए. So preventive control is something which operates before an attack can take place. Attack होने से पहले preventive control अपना काम करेगा. There is access control list which is configured on the firewalls and the file system objects. So these are the preventive type controls. As I told you earlier, depending upon the accesses controls which are defined, there is a access control list as well. ठीक है. सो एंटी मॉलवेयर सॉफ्टवेयर भी अगर हमने कोई इंस्टॉल किया हुआ है तो वो भी एक प्रिवेंटिव कंट्रोल है. अगर आपके सिस्टम में कोई एंटी मॉलवेयर एंटीवायरस सॉफ्टवेयर है तो वो एक प्रिवेंटिव मेजर है जो आप ले रहे हो, है ना, which will be further blocking the processes identified as malicious from executing. कोई भी ऐसे लगता है malicious फाइल डिटेक्ट हुई है तो उसको एग्जीक्यूट नहीं करने देते. So this is something which is a part of preventive. Then we have detective, the next part, where detective में इन्होंने एक वो lens सा बना दिया, like how it will be detecting any attack if it is there. Now it operates during an event to identify it. अब event हो गया है, that bug has मतलब वो successfully आ गया, वो prevent नहीं कर पाया just in case. So वो bug now you can see that is there in the system. Now this is being operated during the event to identify it. Now, this may not prevent or deter the access, but it will identify and record any attempted or successful intrusion. As we discussed about the log, now detective will be डिटेक्टिव ने क्या करना है, डिटेक्टिव ने बस एक डिटेक्ट करना है. ये प्रिवेंट नहीं कर पाएगा, रोक नहीं पाएगा, लेकिन ये इसको आइडेंटिफाई करके उसको रिकॉर्ड कर लेगा उसकी सारी एक्टिविटीज को कि उसने क्या अटेम्प्ट किया है, क्या सक्सेसफुल इसका इंक्लूजन रहा है, क्या उसने ऑपरेट किया है उस अटैक के रिगार्डिंग, है ना, उस अटैक में उसने उसने परफॉर्म क्या किया है. सो एवरीथिंग विल बी लॉग्ड इन इट. सो दिस इज पर्टिकुलर सिक्योरिटी कंट्रोल डिटेक्ट्स ड्यूरिंग एन इंसिडेंट. जब इंसिडेंट कोई हो रहा है, when attack has happened, to identify, record that it is happening, उसका एक प्रूफ जो एक डिटेक्टिव मेजर कैप्चर कर लेते हैं. द कंट्रोल में नॉट प्रिवेंट, क्योंकि इसमें इसका प्रिवेंशन का कोई रोल नहीं है. डिटेक्ट डिटेक्ट में सिर्फ वो डिटेक्ट करेगा. तो डिटेक्ट में वो उसने डिटेक्ट वंस इट इज डिटेक्टेड कि इंसिडेंट इज हैपनिंग, सो इट विल आइडेंटिफाई एंड रिपोर्ट द होल ऑफ द इंसिडेंट. ठीक है. कोई भी उसका अटेम्प्शन, कुछ इंसिडेंट में कुछ अटेम्प्ट किया जो बग आया है, या फिर उसने कुछ हार्म किया है, सक्सेसफुल इंट्रूजन कहीं हुआ है. सो डिटेक्टिव कंट्रोल ऑपरेट्स ड्यूरिंग द प्रोग्रेस ऑफ एन अटैक. जैसे जैसे अटैक हो रहा होता है वो सारा कंट्रोल तब काम कर रहा होता है. सो लॉग्स प्रोवाइड वन ऑफ द बेस्ट एग्जांपल ऑफ डिटेक्टिव टाइप कंट्रोल. नाउ दैट यू आर क्लियर विद द लॉग्स, नाउ यू कैन रिलेट टू इट कि कैसे लॉग्स यहाँ पे काम आते हैं, ये सारी एक्टिविटीज कैसे कैप्चर हो जाती हैं. इज इट क्लियर? Then we have corrective. Once it is detected, once it has entered, now correction करनी है. यहाँ पे tools बना दिए इन्होंने कि कैसे correction होगी इसकी from the picture itself. So it will mitigate following an event. Now correction में कुछ अगर गलत हो भी गया है तो उसको कैसे fix करना है. So respond to, fixes an incident and it may also prevent its reoccurrence. दोबारा ना हो ऐसा भी ये कर सकता है correction steps में. So it is something which is operated after an attack. One thing is being operated before the attack, which is preventive, then during the attack, which is detective, then after the attack, which is corrective. Once attack has happened, how we can correct that. So this is the type of security control that acts after an incident. अब after उसका क्या काम है? So that it can eliminate or minimize its impact, so that it can recover the system कि वो वापस अपनी business continuity में आ सके. So this is something which is eliminating, reducing the impact of intrusion event. So this is the corrective control which is used after an attack. Now the good example could be अगर कोई attack हो गया तो backup system काम आते हैं, है ना, backup ले लेते हैं, backup काम आता है so that we can restore the data that was damaged during the intrusion. Another example could be patch management system that acts to eliminate the vulnerability exploited during the attack. पैच मैनेजमेंट में क्या होता है, वी हैव वेरियस डिफरेंट एप्लीकेशंस व्हिच वी हैव इंस्टॉल्ड इन द मोबाइल फोन या फिर अपने लैपटॉप में. उनके रेगुलर अपडेट्स आते हैं, देयर आर न्यू वर्जंस बीइंग रिलीज्ड, है ना. व्हाई दीज आर कमिंग अप, व्हाट्स द नीड ऑफ न्यू वर्जंस और द रेगुलर अपडेट्स. there is something patch management which they are doing on their end. Patches जो है cover कर रहे हैं. If there is any security loophole present in the app, that thing can be covered with the patch management. If there is any bug in the app, so that thing can be debugged. So patch management is something which will help to eliminate if there is any weakness in the system which is exploited during the attack. वो किस weakness को exploit करके जो ये इंसिडेंट है वो हुआ है, ऐसी कौन सी वीकनेस थी हमारे सिस्टम में जिसके थ्रू उसको एक्सेस मिल गया सिस्टम के अंदर आके अपना अटैक परफॉर्म करने का. तो उस पर्टिकुलर वीकनेस को, उस पर्टिकुलर लूप होल को हम कैसे कवर कर सकते हैं. सो पैच मैनेजमेंट कैन बी परफॉर्म्ड इन करेक्टिव मेजर्स. ठीक है. So now that we are clear with this functionality of preventive, detective, corrective controls, there are other defined cases as well, which we will be studying further. Now, please confirm me if you are clear with these three control functional types, security control functional types: preventive, detective, and corrective. Okay, great. Now, other functional types, as mentioned over here, we have physical, compensating, and deterrent. So these are the next functional types which we will study now. Now, these are the, that can be used to define other cases. Now, there is physical case. Now, controls such as alarms, gateways, locks that deter some access to premises and hardware. Now, this is something a type of security control that acts against in-person intrusion attempts. जब कोई इन पर्सन इंट्रूशन अटेम्प्ट करने आता है फिजिकली इन द सेंस जो फिजिकली एक्सेस करके प्रेमिसेस को कोई फिर अटैक करने की कोशिश करता है, तो देयर कुड बी अलार्म्स, देयर कुड बी लॉक्स, देयर कुड बी लाइटनिंग, सिक्योरिटी कैमरास, गार्ड्स जो उस चीज को डिटेक्ट कर सकते हैं, है ना. एंड सो दिस इज समथिंग जो हार्डवेयर कंपोनेंट से रिलेटेड है. आई होप you are able to understand the term. Physically access अगर कोई करने आता है, in person intrusion attempt करता है, so the controls, कौन से controls use कर सकते हैं हम? Alarms हो सकते हैं, gateways हो सकते हैं, locks हो सकते हैं, lightning हो सकती है, security cameras obviously है ना, guards which can deter and detect the access to premises, and hardware अगर कोई premises के या hardware access that often classed separately. ठीक है. Next part is deterrent. Now, this is something the security control that discourages the intrusion attempts. अब ये कैसे डिस्करेज करते हैं intrusion attempt that may not be physical or logical prevent access, but psychologically discourage करता है अटैकर को कि वो attempt ना करे intrusion. How it is happening psychologically? Now, this is something which is not preventing the control in a physical or logical manner, but psychologically manner. So this include some signs and warning of legal penalties against trespass or intrusion, we can say. अगर आपको कोई ऐसा बोले कि you will be fined, you or some kind of penalty will be charged. So this is something, a warning which is being given. Psychologically, they are being, discouraged to attempt on the same. So that is deterrent. Are you able to understand the term, everyone out there? Neither with the alarms, security cameras, security guards, but yes, psychologically they are being warned and they are being discouraged to perform any kind of attempt on the same. Then we have compensating. Now, compensating is something, here it is written. What exactly is compensating? It substitutes for a principal control. How will be compensating it? The security measure that takes on the risk mitigation. हमने कैसे risk mitigate करना है? When a primary control fails or cannot completely meet expectations. So this is something compensating, the control which serves as a substitute. कौन सा हम substitute provide करेंगे principal control का? As recommended by the security standards only. हम security standards से बाहर का control कोई implement नहीं कर सकते. And affords the same or some better level of protection, but uses a different methodology or technology. ठीक है. Deterrent. Nancy, deterrent is something where we are preventing the intrusion attempts. है ना? We are preventing intrusion attempts not physically or logically, but yes, psychologically we are discouraging the intruder to perform the attempt. And how psychologically we are discouraging the intruder? By giving some signs, warnings of legal penalties against some trespassing or intrusion. Okay, so some kind of warning, some kind of sign, some kind of penalties could be charged so that the intruder discouraged get discouraged in order to form the attempt. Is it clear to you? Yes, no, maybe. Okay. एंड इन कंपनसेटिंग में क्या है कि हमने कैसे कंपनसेट करना है, एक सब्स्टिट्यूट ढूंढना है, अगर वो कंट्रोल नहीं काम कर रहा है, हमारे पास एक प्रिंसिपल कंट्रोल का सब्स्टिट्यूट होना चाहिए which is being recommended by security standard only, and it affords some better or the same level of protection, but methodology or technology बस change होगी हमारी. This is something compensating substitutes for principal control. Is it clear to you all the security control functional types part 2? In part 1, we discussed about preventive, detective, corrective. In part 2, we discussed about physical, deterrent, and compensating. Okay, great. Then we have NIST cybersecurity framework. Now there is a defined, as I told you, there's a defined framework. List of activities होती हैं, कुछ objectives होते हैं, हमने कैसे जो है risk mitigate करना है, किस path पे हमने follow करना है, and so on, है ना? Now, before jumping into the framework part, let's first understand the importance of the framework as well, है ना? This cybersecurity framework, we can refer it as CSF. So what is the use of framework? Framework basically allows the organization to make an objective statement of its current cybersecurity capabilities, right? कि क्या उनकी cyber security capabilities हैं, उसको identify करना, कोई target level of capability. अगर देखो एक organization अगर इस level तक कुछ particular level तक capable है, then they have to move forward as well. उसको कुछ एक target level भी लेना अपना, identify करना कि हमने किस level of capability तक पहुंचना है. They have to prioritize their investment to achieve that target, कि वो कैसे उस level तक पहुंचेंगे, है ना? So this is valuable for giving a structure to internal risk management procedures, some providing to externally verifiable statement of regulatory compliance. Whatever the frameworks or the regulations any organization is following, they cannot, go beyond the government regulatories. जितना गवर्नमेंट रेगुलेशंस में अलाउड है वो उतना ही अपने फ्रेमवर्क्स में इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे. Now talking about the importance of framework, it will provide the objective statement of current capabilities. An organization will be able to understand and make the objective statement कि उनकी current capabilities क्या है, ठीक है? Then they will be able to measure the progress toward the target capabilities. उन्होंने किस level तक पहुंचना है और किस तरह का progress उनको चाहिए. Then there is some verifiable statement. कैसे वो verify करेंगे? For the regulatory compliance reporting. कि वो government regulatory compliance के according ही चले. These are important because they save an organization from building its security program in a vacuum, or from building the program on a foundation that fails to account for the important security concepts. With the help of framework, they will be providing, a minimum, we can say, the foundation कि जिस पे वो अपने सिक्योरिटी कॉन्सेप्ट्स को आगे फर्दर इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, एक मिनिमम लेवल उनको मिल जाता है, एक पैरामीटर मिल जाता है, एक पूरा ब्लूप्रिंट मिल जाता है, हाउ एग्जैक्टली दे विल बी इम्प्लीमेंटिंग इट एंड दे विल बी रीचिंग द नेक्स्ट लेवल. Now there are various frameworks, each of which categorize cybersecurity activities, controls in slightly different ways. अब different frameworks होने का मतलब क्या है कि हर एक में कुछ ना कुछ थोड़ा डिफरेंस होगा. कैसे हम साइबर सिक्योरिटी की एक्टिविटीज को, रोल्स को डिफाइन करेंगे, कंट्रोल्स कैसे कैसे होंगे, तो थोड़ा थोड़ा डिफरेंस होगा सब में. Now most frameworks which are developed as some international audience, there could be some which are focused on domestic national audience. There could be various frameworks which are classified in such a manner. Talking about NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology, We have cybersecurity frameworks. We have risk management framework. Now, cybersecurity framework, how we'll be implementing the security procedures and policies in the organization. Then risk management framework, how we'll be managing the risk, in which manner we can, what all activities need to be performed. Then federal information processing standards, some special publications. So these are the different frameworks which are being, defined. Now, NIST के risk management framework में it predates the CSF, the cyber security framework. When we are looking after the security, है ना, हम cyber security की बात कर रहे हैं, तो हमने cyber security में risk is a part of it. तो उसको risk को कैसे manage करना है? So this is a part of cyber security framework only. How we'll be working on this risk management framework. Now, see, NIST is also responsible for this FIPS, for issuing federal information processing standards plus advisory guides, and which include special publications. What kind of guides are there? What kind of guides they need to follow? The special publications which are given. So many of the standards technology which are covered in CompTIA Security Plus, these are discussed in these particular frameworks only. So we'll be having a look at the different frameworks which we'll be studying out further. ISO and cloud frameworks. ISO का नाम सुना है किसने पहले कभी? Anyone out there? What is the full form of ISO? लिखा हुआ स्क्रीन पे वैसे. International Organization for Standardization. This particularly defines various statements are there. इसमें बहुत से standards हैं जो define करते हैं कि हम security कैसे follow कर सकते हैं, मतलब security framework कैसे design कर सकते हैं, and so on. ISO and cloud frameworks are there. Now for the security standards, we have information security standards. We have 27K standard defined in it, है ना? In इस ISO में 27K standard is for the information security standards. Then 31K is for the, मतलब इसमें series है, different standards are defined over here in it. So 27,001 is for the information security management standard, and there is the series for the information auditing, information security auditing as well. So various other series are defined. तो framework जो ये establish हुआ था 2005 में और 2013 में revise किया गया था. So ISO, if we talk about 27K, that is 27,000 basically. So it is all about information security management standard. ठीक है? So it is basically providing comprehensive set of standards for information security. What kind of best practices can be included for security, risk management, compliance, technical implementation, each and everything, the parts of the security, कि कैसे एक organization में इसको implement किया जा सकता है. I think you are able to see कि कितने pages रहते हैं. Are you able to see? We are on the 14th page and there are 2 more pages left. 17th last to last slide, I guess. बस एक दो पेज रहते हैं. We'll be covering this thing. I think सही रहेगा ऐसे एक दो पेज क्यों छोड़ दें इस लेक्चर में, है ना? कवर कर लेंगे सारा. Let me quickly cover it up. 31K में क्या है? 31K is basically providing enterprise risk management. Now, regarding the enterprise risk management, so it is providing the comprehensive set of standards for enterprise risk management. So basically, how the enterprise risk management ERM will be covered. So it considers the risk opportunities beyond cybersecurity, how by including the financial, customer service, competition, and so on. So this is providing, establishes the best practices for performing risk assessment. How will be forming the risk assessments in order to manage the risk. Then Cloud Security Alliance. We have security guidance for cloud service providers. Then we have Enterprise Reference Architecture, Clouds Control Metrics. Now, Cloud Security Compliance, it is a non-profit organization, Cloud Security Alliance, CSA. So this industry body providing security guidance to CSPs, cybersecurity professionals, how it is including the enterprise reference architecture, security control metrics, and so on. So cloud security providers are, produces various resources to assist the cloud service providers. There are various cloud service providers available. हम ड्राइव यूज करते हैं, फोटोज यूज करते हैं, वन ड्राइव यूज करते हैं, ये सारे क्लाउड सर्विस प्रोवाइडर्स हैं, हमें ये क्लाउड दे रहे हैं जिसपे हम अपना we are using the cloud platforms and so on. So there is security guidance which is required. cloud Cloud security is also important. So security guidance किसके लिए? Cloud service provider के लिए. Enterprise reference architecture, cloud control metrics. So this is something, it is providing the best practice summary, how the unique challenges are being analyzed of cloud environments and how on-premises controls can be adapted to them. Then enterprise reference architecture, providing the best practice methodology, tools for CSP, which can be used in architecting the cloud solutions. Then at last, cloud controls metrics, it basically lists the specific controls and assessment guidelines that should be implemented by cloud service provider, what kind of controls they can implement, what kind of assessment guidelines they can implement, and so on. Then we have statements on standards for attestation engagements. We have service organization control. So this is something which is evaluating the service provider, report assess system design, the type 2 report assess ongoing effectiveness. Then we have SOC3 public compliance report. Now this is something, अगर हम statements on standards for attestation engagement SSAE की बात करते हैं, so it is audit specification which is designed to ensure कि जो भी cloud है, जो भी hosting provider है, वो अपने professional standards को meet कर रहे हैं, comply कर रहे हैं, ठीक है? So SOC type 2 जो है, that will be reporting, that report is created for restricted audience, है ना? Then जो SOC3 report है, so that is provided for general consumption. So this is about the public compliance report, so general consumption, publicly available, and so on. Aiko's thing is creating meeting notes. Then, okay. Then we have benchmarks and secure configuration guides. What kind of benchmarks that could be set? कौन सी configuration guides हम follow कर सकते हैं? Benchmark होता है ना, एक minimum benchmark set करते हैं कि ये तो achieve करना ही करना है ना? Then we have Center for Internet Security. Now फ्रेमवर्क ने हमें क्या प्रोवाइड किया था? एक हाई लेवल व्यू प्रोवाइड किया था कि हम अपनी आईटी सर्विसेज को कैसे प्लान कर सकते हैं. डज नॉट जनरली प्रोवाइड डिटेल्ड इम्प्लीमेंटेशन गाइडलाइंस. एक हाई लेवल, एक ब्लूप्रिंट, एक थॉरो लुक सा मिल जाता है फ्रेमवर्क से, हाउ वी कैन प्लान द आईटी सर्विसेज. सो इट्स नॉट गेटिंग इनटू द डिटेल्ड इम्प्लीमेंटेशन गाइड. सो एट अ सिस्टम लेवल जो डिप्लॉयमेंट होती है सर्वर्स की, एप्लीकेशन की, वो किस तरह से कवर होती है? वो बेंचमार्क से कवर होती है और सिक्योर कॉन्फ़िगरेशन गाइड से. What kind of configuration guides we can follow? The secure configuration guides, obviously, and what kind of benchmarks that would be set. The first is that we have Center for Internet Security, which is CIS. Now, the Center of Internet Security, now it publishes the top 20 critical security controls, which are basically there for the system design recommendation. So we have top 20 SIS controls. So this is something non-profit organization which is founded part by the Science Institute. So this security controls, there is CIS, RAM as well risk assessment model, which is basically being used to perform overall evaluation of security posture. अब आपको risk assessment का समझ तो आ गया होगा कि risk assessment में होता क्या है. So how the overall security posture will be evaluated in the same. Now this CIS is also providing the benchmarks. So settings for the service policy configuration for server operating in the particular application role, whether it's a web server, whether it's a mail server, file server, or so on. So there could be different aspects of cyber security, right? And then we have OS network platform vendor specific guides and benchmarks. What all is there in this? If we talk about operating system, some network platform, or some vendor specific guides and benchmark in the same. Now, operating system basically provide the practice configuration list, the settings, controls that should be applied for computing, platform to work in a defined role. That could be client workstation, authentication server हो सकता है, network हो सकता है, switch हो सकता है, router हो सकता है, firewall हो सकता है. They could be web or application server as well. So there are vendor guides and templates defined. CAS benchmarks are there. Department for Defense Cyber Exchange. Then we have NIST National Checklist Program, which is covering everything around it. एप्लीकेशन सर्वर्स इन वेब सर्वर एप्लीकेशन. अब जब भी हम कोई सर्वर की बात करते हैं, सो देयर इज अ कनेक्शन ऑफ क्लाइंट एंड सर्वर, एप्लीकेशन सर्वर और वेब एप्लीकेशन सर्वर में. So how it is dealing with, it's a client and server model. Client will be sending requests, server will be responding back to the request and so on. Then we have multi-type, that could be front end, middleware, which is the business logic, or the back end. How data is being defined, which data is being available at the front end, which is there at the business logic, and which is at the back end. Then open web application security project, which is OWASP. So it's all about something which is an online community which publishes several secure application development resources. So it helps to investigate, understand the penetration testing and application security issues. At last, we have regulations, standards, and legislation. So, guys, are you all there? I believe you all are active in the session. Probably this is the last page. Yes, this is the last page. Regulations, standards, and legislation. Yes, right. I'll take just 2 to 3 minutes more. I'm trying to wrap it up quickly. I hope you are getting the points. Same notes are available with you. Are you all clear with the points which we have discussed so far now? Okay, great. Now, regulation, standards, and legislation. We are clear with the key frameworks, benchmarks, configuration guides that could be used, that may be used to demonstrate compliance with the country's. हर एक कंट्री का अलग होता है लीगल रेगुलेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट्स और द इंडस्ट्री स्पेसिफिक रिक्वायरमेंट. सो टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस ड्यू डिलिजेंस, so how SOX, Computer Security Act, Federal Information Security Management Act comes into the picture. So that's all about SAX, this Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which is there at the very first part. So this is a law which enacted in 2002, which basically dictates the requirement how we'll be storing retention of documents related to the organization, financial and business operation. So it mandates the implementation of risk management, internal controls, audit procedure. Then we have Computer Security Act, which was there in 1987. So it requires the federal agencies to develop some security policies for the computer system. How for the computer system, various security policies will be developed. To govern the security of data processed by federal government agencies. Ravi Shank, I don't feel there is any WhatsApp group because I do not have any of your contact number. There is a WhatsApp group of teachers for the institutional training where we get the regular updates about the classes, but not with the students. Then we have this General Data Protection Regulation Act, which is GDPR, which basically covers the personal data on the general data protection. There is a European GDPR as well, but in India, we are following our GDPR, where different regulations are uh, provided how we can protect data which we are dealing with. National, territory, or state laws. Now, with this national, territory, and state laws, we have different Graham Leach Billy Act, GLBA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, which is basically implemented in the medical line. जो मेडिकल लाइन में डील कर रहे हैं उनके लिए ये एक्ट बना है जिसका फ्रेमवर्क इनको कंप्लाई करना है. HIPAA का, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. Then California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, regarding any consumer activity, जो भी हम customers हैं, if we deal any issue with it, then we can refer to this particular act. Regarding the e-commerce sites, payment card industry data security standard, PCI DSS is there, which is basically dealing with the industry mandate regulations, regarding the safe handling storage of financial information. Because payment is something which is the financial part, and it is basically happening over the e-commerce sites or the banking sites. So they are following this PCI DSS. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you all are clear with it. I don't have any contact, Milan, and it's quite hard. 91 students के number मैं कहाँ कैसे save करूँ? If you will be making one, then you may add me. And here's my contact number. Just a second. Yes, attendance is compulsory. And how many days? I think 75% of attendance is mandatory, bache, as per the rule. If you want to contact me, so that's my contact number. But make sure ping me a message from 9:30 to 4:30 only, 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Chirayu, I don't have anyone's contact number, bache. Please try to understand. Don't have anyone's contact number. So how am I supposed to make a group? All right, guys, that's all for today. Now you all may leave the session. Thank you so much.